iPhone 4S. I abandoned it years ago because it got too slow. Yet 12 years later it runs just as fast and smooth as my iPhone 16 Pro. Now I use it to listen to music and as a voice recorder. Why does this feel better than using a brand new, powerful iPhone? Why doesn't technical progress always mean a better experience? And why does an old device running an old system feel like it actually has a soul and character? The simple answer, it is just nostalgia. Doesn't work here, because this trend goes way beyond our personal past experiences. Right now, there is an objective movement in design, searching for individuality, soul and character. The iPhone 4S and iPhone 16 Pro don't just look different, they represent two entirely different views of the world. The old world is a place where it was actually exciting to follow the design choices of massive corporations. The new world is a world of digital fatigue and highly polished, efficient but completely identical data-driven design. Back in the day, whenever I got new gadget, I couldn't wait to click through absolutely everything. I would open every menu, check every settings just to see how it all worked. This helped me understand the device, it helped me understand its boundaries, which meant I knew exactly how to use it and what role it played in my life. You would explore the system once and it became predictable, it became a part of your world. Though as a designer, I still regularly click through apps just to see how they work. It is absolutely necessary for our profession and really for anyone who might want to build an app for themselves, which is suddenly becoming highly relevant these days. And one of my favorite sponsors helped me do exactly that, Mobbin. It is a UI reference library that I personally use to research design. They have over 600,000 real screens and 140,000 full user flows from actual shipped apps like Revolut, Airbnb and Spotify. You no longer need to hunt down and install thousands of apps just to snap screenshots. Everything is in one place and extremely convenient. And with their new Mobbin MCP, you can connect this massive database directly to your Claude or Cursor. You just tell the AI, show me patterns from music players, and it pulls real screens straight into your workflow. Try Mobbin using the link in the description. It really supports the channel. I was saying that I used to click through every menus of every new gadget and piece of software. Well, doing this with modern smartphones is completely pointless. There is simply no bottom to them. All devices were passive. They were classic tools. You choose when and how to use them. A modern phone works fundamentally different. It is highly proactive. The device constantly wants something from you. Algorithms suggest new actions, throw notification at you, and fight for your attention. You no longer control the process. You pick it up to do one specific thing, and the phone drags you into a completely different scenario. You never really know what it is going through at you next. To be fair, old iPhone back in the day had one major downside too: the pressure of technical progress. New versions would come out, everything updated, old apps stopped working, you were plugged into a massive system that constantly pressured you to move forward. But today, this 4S is completely disconnected from that system. It is preserved in its absolute best state. Yes, this freedom came at high price. The phone lost a ton of features and it lost them artificially. But there is a massive upside to this. The pressure of technology has completely disappeared. What is left is just a predictable passive tool. But beyond the fact that it no longer drains you with its proactivity, it has something else built right into its structure and design. Is an aesthetic created long before the era of sterile minimalism. If I say the word lemon and ask you to picture it, to imagine it in enough details that you actually bite into it, your mouth will start watering. Your body physiologically reacts to an imagined concept. Now look at these old interfaces. The yellow lined paper in the note app, the leather texture in the calendar, the metallic microphone. In the real world, objects have endless variations, and objects is more than just its function. It is texture, tactility, temperature, the way it sounds. When you look at the texture of that yellow paper on the screen, you can physically recall the unpleasant dryness of cheap paper or conversely the smooth, satisfying glide of an expensive notebook. Old interfaces carry this emotional charge. They imitate the physical world and in doing so tap into our real life experiences, forcing us to react. If you want to create the most efficient utilitarian interface possible, there is really only one right way to do it. Apply strict design rules, use the right margins, perfect the contrast, maintain a strict visual hierarchy. But when you design an interface by imitating the real world, you have a billion ways to do it. And it is through those billion variations that emotions are transmitted. Modern design chose the path of utilitarian efficiency. Interfaces became clean and correct, but they lost their ability to trigger these deep physiological associations. So why are we suddenly feeling this sterility so acutely right now? Because we used to be distracted by the tech race. Devices got more powerful every year and we forgave them for becoming more and more identical. But now that the technological pressure has faded and the thrill of the race is gone, it turns out there is nothing particularly interesting left. In the pursuit of ultimate optimization, we got rid of all the unnecessary details and somehow all the fun disappeared with them. That is why the 4S is drawing attention again. It reminds us of time when gadgets sparked joy not just with raw computing power, but by trying to be tangible, complex objects from the real world. This feeling that in our pursuit of algorithmic efficiency we have lost the fun doesn't just apply to how our phones look, it has completely taken over how we entertain ourselves. Nostalgia. It makes sense that first our brain chooses to remember the best parts of the past, and second, youth and childhood are much more carefree than adulthood, so a lot of things from that era carry that feeling of lightness. But for example, as a kid I only played the very first Mario on a console, and I found it incredibly difficult. I don't think I ever managed to beat it. Recently, however, I bought the old game Mario Galaxy for my Switch 2. I have absolutely zero nostalgia for it. I didn't play this game 20 years ago, yet it feels amazing and incredibly fun today, completely independent of any childhood memories. And I found in it one of the key things that make certain gadgets or games so enjoyable. It is not infinite. It is not about an after-game mode or an open-world sandbox. It is about everything in this game. There is simply none of the pressure that has infected so many modern games due to rising competition. The game doesn't keep me on a hook, where while finishing one task I accidentally start another that I can't abandon. There is no lingering feeling of being unfinished. There are short 5 to 10 minute levels and each one has a clear, definitive end after which you can easily put down the console and exit the game with zero resistance. I played it for 20 minutes before bed, almost every night. Even though it is platformer and not a meditative game, it never stopped me from falling asleep. I closed it feeling genuinely satisfied. This is the exact opposite of modern games, where you either leave feeling drained and exhausted, or you are left with a burning desire to keep playing. Your brain gets hyperactivated, making it impossible to sleep. The modern games I'm talking about are built using the exact same data-driven blueprints as the sterile interfaces of modern smartphones. Their primary goal is not to bring you joy, but to maximize the time you spend inside their ecosystems. Don't get me wrong, many of them, especially big AAA PlayStation titles, are beautiful, self-contained works of art, but they also have this dark second layer. A modern game, much like a modern smartphone, is a portal to infinity. You can't just play it, you have to live in it, you have to maintain it, and if you try to leave, the algorithms will do everything in their power to drag you back. And honestly, the last thing I want to do is blame the corporations and developers. The truth is these kinds of games and mechanics were once our ultimate dream. We just didn't fully understand the trade-off. That is why I find myself returning to old things more and more. Not because the grass was actually greener back then, even though subjectively it feels that way for many. I go back to them because we are simply exhausted by algorithms, constantly demanding our attention. We want to take back control. We just need things that know their place and know when it's time to end. iOS 6 cannot be primary phone today. A 2010 Mac Mini, as wonderful as it is, cannot be my main computer. Out of everything I have mentioned, only the game can truly be old. Everything else just sounds like whining about a lost past, at best holding out hope for a revival. And I don't believe in that. I have always loved sci-fi stories that feature fabricators. Games like No Man's Skies and Subnautica, because it sounds like the ultimate dream, the ability to create absolutely anything yourself. And in a way, we actually already have that technology today. This is the direct path to surrounding yourself with design that has a soul and character. This is my fitness tracker, and these are screenshots from popular apps. The difference is that mine is pretty much worse in every way, and it only works on my desktop. But the most important thing is that it helps me work out, and I genuinely love using it. I built it over a weekend using vibe coding. It syncs with Supabase, uses Apple Intelligence for voice input, and sends my data to my Claude Code to generate weekly reports. And this is an unfinished book printed right here on my photo printer. The main character is my son, Jan, who is teaching a little cat how to close its eyes tight while washing its hair. I'm making it so Jan can learn to be less anxious about having his own hair washed. This is a custom Magic the Gathering deck my wife and I made, also just printed on a photo printer. In it we are beautiful elves, and the goblins, well, they are modern politicians. Don't take it too serious, it is just a joke. And this is a cover of Future Notebook. It features a drawing of a courtyard in Tbilisi where we lived for a whole year and absolutely fell in love with it. All of these things alongside my old gadgets have appeared in my life just over the last year. And all of it became possible because of AI. Now I'm moving on to the next stage, which is why a 3D printer just showed up at my house. All of this feels like a constant reduction in stress. It is about building my own personal boundaries around myself, replacing the broad technological ones that we have lost. And of course, we are definitely going to talk about that 3D printer soon, so please make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss it. A soul appears where there are limitations. An object gets character when it is designed to serve you, not to maximize engagement metrics. That is why my old iPhone 4S and Mario Galaxy feel so alive. They aren't trying to steal all my time. They just do what they were made to do, and then they let me go back to living my actual life. And if corporations don't want to make things like this anymore, well, then I guess it is time we start making them ourselves. And before I go, I want to mention one more story about how this kind of personal, creative approach built an entire industry, how a scientist and his grad student forever changed robotics. Not through pure progress, but specifically through constraints. I think this story fits perfectly into our conversation, revealing a whole new side to it. I will see you in that video. Bye.